When I was 2 months pregnant, my husband insisted on bringing his white moonlight home against my wishes. Hannah's leg is broken. Without proper care, she could become permanently paralyzed. I must look after her. It was then I realized I had always been a substitute. I quietly terminated the pregnancy and called my family. Brother, I'm preparing to divorce and return home to take over the company. Doctor, please schedule an appointment for me. After hanging up, I booked an abortion procedure via my phone. Felix approached me from behind unnoticed, walked past me, took a custom record from the cabinet, and casually asked, "When are you going for the prenatal checkup?" It wasn't a prenatal checkup, it was an abortion procedure. I didn't want this child to be born fatherless like me. I considered telling him but ultimately refrained. Seeing the record in his hand, I paused momentarily and hesitantly asked, "Why do you suddenly want to listen to this record?" The record he held had never been played. It was a gift I gave him for his birthday, with the song "Love You" personally engraved by me, which he claimed to like at the time. Yet he promptly stored it in the cabinet, never playing it once. Curious, I asked why he didn't listen to it. He smiled, ruffled my hair, and said it'd be better to play it at our wedding. I could even sing it to you. I was overjoyed then, thinking he was planning our wedding. But later, at a university reunion, I learned from classmates that Hannah loved "Love You," and Felix intended to sing it for her at a wedding, not me. I stared fixedly at the record in his hand. Felix smiled and explained, "She's immobile and feeling down. I thought music might help her relax, and since she likes this song, I gave her the record." He'd likely forgotten his earlier words, or perhaps they were just perfunctory. I distinctly felt a sharp pang in my heart, but it didn't matter. I wouldn't wait for that wedding day. Forcing a smile, I said to him, "Okay, take it to her quickly." Felix's furrowed brow suddenly relaxed, surprised I wasn't upset. He hugged me, resting his head on my shoulder, and said gently, "I'll be back soon." Exhausted both physically and mentally, I fell asleep quickly on the bed. Suddenly, I sensed someone enter. He hugged me from behind, and I stiffened. Detecting an unfamiliar perfume scent, I pushed him away and rushed to the bathroom to retch. He approached me with concern, but I stood and stepped aside, saying, "I'm fine now." Glancing at the time on my phone, I was surprised and asked, "Aren't you massaging Miss Hannah today? You're back so early." Rubbing his forehead, dark circles under his eyes, he looked exhausted and said, "Hannah went for a hospital checkup. The doctor said she needs tests tomorrow, so she's been admitted." His face was full of worry when mentioning Hannah, clearly showing his concern. After Hannah was injured abroad, she called Felix. Learning of her leg fracture, he hurriedly went overseas to retrieve her, bringing her to live in our home without consulting me. I recognized her instantly as my half-sister. She resembled her mother strikingly. However, I was uncertain about her relationship with Felix. But because her mother stole my father and hurt my mother, I opposed her staying. "Felix, take her away, put her in a hotel or send her to her own home. She can't stay here." For the first time, I lost my temper and yelled at him angrily. Hannah suddenly teared up. "Sister, I know my mom and dad wronged you. But I was just born then, I knew nothing. I don't want to be a burden, please don't drive me out." Seeing her cry, Felix rejected my suggestion without hesitation. "Sophie, her parents' grudges aren't her fault. Her family isn't here, and the doctor says she needs proper care. If not, she'll be paralyzed. She once saved me, so I must care for her. A life-saving debt must be repaid," but I always sensed something different in how Felix looked at her. One evening, Hannah abruptly sent Felix away. "Felix, is that pastry shop we used to visit still open? It's been a while, can you buy some?" Felix agreed instantly. I didn't want to stay with Hannah, though she wasn't the main cause of my parents' split. I harbored no fondness for her. As I stood to leave, she stopped me. "Sophie, aren't you curious why Felix treats me so well? Do you really think it's just about a life-saving debt? It's because I'm the white moonlight he's always cherished. He likes me. After I went abroad, friends said he was heartbroken until he met you." She smiled at me provocatively. "We're half-sisters, don't you think our eyes look alike?" Gazing at her eyes, so similar to mine, I felt a stab of pain and collapsed onto the sofa. She was right, our eyes were inherited from our father. The cleaning lady saw us and immediately thought we were sisters. So, I was merely a substitute, a laughable stand-in. I returned to the bedroom, covering my face as I trembled, tears slipping through my fingers and wetting my palms. No wonder Felix often stared at my eyes in a daze. No wonder he pursued me from our first meeting. No wonder he endured airsickness to fetch Hannah and care for her personally. Everything made sense. He was seeing someone else through me. Past events flashed vividly in my mind. After becoming pregnant, I joyfully told him, "Honey, we're having our own baby." But he seemed distracted. When I noticed, he smiled and said, "I just feel sorry for you. Pregnancy is tough, and I'm worried you can't handle it." He claimed concern, yet I attended every prenatal checkup alone. I asked him to join me, but he hugged me and complained, "Sophie, I'd love to go with you, but work is overwhelming. If I take leave, I'll lose this month's bonus. How will I support our child?" I didn't fuss and went to the checkups alone. Yet for Hannah, he unhesitatingly abandoned a hard-earned promotion opportunity to fetch her, massaging her legs and aiding her recovery daily. Ah! A scream jolted me from painful memories. Woof woof. Yo-Yo barked incessantly, and I rushed out, asking, "What's wrong with Yo-Yo?" Hannah cowered, eyes full of fear. "Felix," he bit my hand. I was terrified. Thank goodness you arrived in time, or I'd have fallen from the wheelchair. Felix saw the wound on Hannah's hand, his face turning cold instantly. He yelled at me, "Sophie, I told you to get rid of the dog. You insisted on keeping it, and now Hannah's been bitten." Yo-Yo ran to my feet, whimpering aggrievedly. I knew Yo-Yo wouldn't bite randomly. To prevent him from being stolen, I'd installed a camera on his collar bell. I checked my phone, clearly capturing Hannah hitting Yo-Yo's head. With a stern face, I told Felix, "Look closely, it was she who struck first." Hannah sobbed pitifully. "It chewed up the gift Felix bought me. I only patted it to warn it, without force, and it bit me instead." She clung to Felix's arm, piteously saying, "Felix, it hurts, will I be okay?" Felix glared at me, his anger intensifying. "You hurt her, it's this beast's fault. Take it and get out." He then carried Hannah out, soothing her gently, "Don't worry, I'll take you to the hospital." He didn't notice my pale face or my hand clutching my stomach. Since the pregnancy began, the fetus had been unstable, and the doctor warned against stress. Yet he forgot my words, his eyes devoid of me. As he slammed the door, I calmly replied, "Okay." Soon, as he wished, I'd vanish from his world, making room for Hannah. Fearing Hannah might harm Yo-Yo, I sent him to my best friend's house. I never mentioned it again or meddled in Felix and Hannah's affairs. Felix deliberately avoided the topic, his demeanor still cold. "The doctor says Hannah needs frequent sunlight, and the guest room lacks it. Can she stay in the master bedroom for now, and we move to the guest room?" I agreed. I complied with all his requests without refusal. Felix's attitude toward me softened. "After all, you're her sister, you should treat her better." The next evening, I sent my resignation letter to my boss. Felix entered with milk. "Sophie, why aren't you asleep? Drink this, it helps with sleep." Frowning, the smell made me nauseous, and I pushed it away. "I don't want it." Felix sighed, suddenly lifted me onto the bed. "You're pregnant, you can't stay up late. Be good and sleep." He bent down, kissed my forehead, and touched my lips with his hand. A wave of disgust surged within me. I turned away to avoid his touch. "I'm tired, let's sleep." Seeing Felix now repulsed me, I wanted to excise every part he'd touched. 3 days ago, an earthquake struck another city, and we felt mild tremors here. Sleeping people wouldn't notice, but Hannah wheeled herself over in the middle of the night. She clung to Felix, voice trembling. "Felix, I'm scared of earthquakes, my leg was injured in one. Can you stay with me?" Fearing their talk would wake me, Felix wheeled Hannah away, whispering reassuringly, "Don't be afraid, I'll stay in your room tonight and protect you." Felix took Hannah to the master bedroom and softly closed the guest room door. On a night of recent tremors, my husband abandoned his pregnant wife to comfort another woman. In the early hours, Felix assumed I was asleep. When Hannah approached, he didn't pull away. When she kissed his lips, he didn't resist but held her tightly, kissing passionately. Unrestrained, their noise grew louder. Felix murmured affectionately, "Hannah, I love you," his tender voice piercing the silent night. I bit my lip hard, curling into a ball as tears blurred my vision. Painful memories resurfaced. A year ago, Felix mumbled in his sleep after a university reunion. It was sudden and faint, I didn't catch it and asked him the next day. He hugged me, laughing, "I dreamed of you, I must have called your name." I believed him, thinking it was me. Now, I realize he dreamed of Hannah and called her name. "Sophie, are you unhappy?" Felix's words snapped me back. I slowly opened my tightly shut eyes. Felix's tone grew serious, "Can you tell me what's wrong?" "You're pregnant, low moods can lead to depression. Don't bottle things up, talk to me, okay? You never used to hide anything from me." I sat up slowly, looking at Felix. In a white t-shirt, he gazed at me with concern. In a daze, I saw the Felix from 5 years ago when someone's wallet was stolen. I rushed to help, and as the thief nearly escaped, Felix tripped him. The sun shone brightly then, his youthful smile genuine. "Hi, I'm Felix." I didn't expect a girl to be so brave, amazing. That moment stole my heart. He pursued me relentlessly, my love deepening, but now it's gone, destroyed by his own hands, leaving only endless pain. Felix sat on the bed, reaching to hug me. "You're my wife, I'll help with anything." "What's happened lately? Why are you unhappy?" My heart brimmed with bitterness. I longed to ask if he truly liked me, to know his real relationship with Hannah. Before I could speak, Hannah screamed, "Ah!" Felix rushed to the master bedroom, where she sat on the floor, struggling to get back onto the bed. She fell back weakly, looking up at Felix with teary eyes. "Felix, my legs are numb, I can't dance for you anymore. I'm so scared, what if I never stand again?" Her voice trembled with fear and helplessness. Felix swiftly lifted her. "Don't worry, you'll be fine." He rushed out with Hannah, not sparing me a glance. "Sophie, rest, I'm taking Hannah to the hospital." I didn't stop them or question their bond. Calmly, I opened the door. "Go ahead." Once they were out of sight, my strained body gave way, and I leaned against the door, sobbing uncontrollably. Late that night, Felix texted me, "Sophie, the doctor says she needs ongoing rehab and can't move alone. I'll care for her here, eat on time." I stared at the screen, eyes vacant, expressionless. Morning came and I packed early. In our 5 years together, I'd bought many items to decorate our home, including cute couple-themed trinkets. Felix never objected, letting me buy freely. But he never used them, they gathered dust. Looking at them, I felt foolish. I gave everything to Grandpa Lou, the recycler. I checked the calendar, I'd leave in 2 days. The next day, Felix returned, surprised. "Why aren't you at work? Isn't maternity leave in May?" I didn't mention my resignation, fearing his questions. His voice now irritated me. Avoiding his gaze, I brushed him off. "I'm unwell, my boss gave me a day off." I wasn't sure if Felix registered it. He headed straight to the master bedroom, now Hannah's. "Last night was rushed, I didn't grab clothes. Where are the new toiletries?" I watched him pack meticulously, smiling wryly to myself. He didn't ask about my discomfort, fixated on Hannah. Even if he knew I'd quit, he wouldn't care. The house was emptier, yet he didn't notice I was invisible, while Hannah was his cherished wife. Felix packed quickly and, about to leave, approached me, gently touching my flat belly. "Sophie, I'm sorry, I've been busy with Hannah lately. Her leg is serious, and I've neglected you and the baby. When she's better, I'll take you to the sea, you love it, right? And we'll have hot pot, okay?" He tried soothing me with promises, but I stayed silent, shifting to avoid his touch. The future? We had none left. Felix paused, then smiled, pulling out a gift box. "This is a custom gift for you, I got it today." He opened it, revealing a diamond ring. I didn't extend my hand for him to put it on. It wasn't my first time seeing it 2 days ago, Hannah had it. She'd bragged arrogantly, Felix gave me this ring, he made it himself. He said even though I'm with someone else, he hopes I'd accept it. In his heart, I'm the one he loves most, the only one worthy of it. I averted my eyes from the ring, saying flatly, give it to Miss Hannah. She probably likes this style. My phone rang, the driver had arrived. I grabbed my bag and walked out. Felix froze, a void in his heart. Sophie, where are you going? Without turning, I said, shopping. Felix chased after me, blocking the elevator, looking into my eyes and lowering his head. Did you see Facebook? My hand paused on the button. Last night, Felix, a photography enthusiast, posted on Facebook to share daily moments. He'd never featured me, but he uploaded Hannah's photo. Hannah slept with closed eyes, Felix kissing her cheek. The caption read, "Thank goodness you're back, my white moonlight. It's wonderful to see you." His fans commented, "Wow, such a handsome man and beautiful woman, perfect match. Marrying his white moonlight is like a feel-good story." I saw it, calmly commenting, "A good match." But the post was deleted the next second, likely an accidental public setting. I trusted Felix and never checked his phone. A few days ago, I glimpsed his unlocked phone and saw posts marked visible only to me. Trembling, I scrolled down all about Hannah. From their meeting to now, he'd meticulously noted everything, her love for strawberries, her dislike of lamb. I'd lost utterly. Looking at Felix, I forced a smile. What Facebook? Did you post something? I didn't see it. Seeing me smile, Felix's tension eased. Once Hannah recovers, I'll have her move out, and we'll have our own world. I sneered inwardly. Felix had already started house hunting in this area, large, quiet upstairs and down, in the European style Hannah liked. I dropped my smile. Your affairs don't concern me. Arrange as you wish, no need to tell me. Felix's expression shifted, frowning. Are you mad again? I'm good to her to repay a debt. She's your sister, isn't helping right? You're my wife, we have a child, stop being jealous for no reason. Sister? He knew my family history yet insisted on the half-sister label. Suppressing my anger, I smiled. I'm not jealous or upset. After all, we'd soon be unrelated. Felix's brow relaxed. I knew you're generous. You wouldn't fuss with your sister. Tomorrow's our 5th anniversary. I'll be back at noon to cook a feast. He left with his things. Amid his focus on his white moonlight, he remembered our anniversary, quite considerate. Since he offered, I'd enjoy a good meal, a farewell dinner to settle everything. But the next day, he didn't return by 3. At dusk, he called. Sorry, Hannah found a specialist, I'm with her. Eat first. My tone was flat. Okay. Appetite gone, I ate little, then left with my suitcase. Felix, busy until noon the next day, finally contacted me. Beyond his call, I sent no messages or urged him home. Felix raised an eyebrow, so obedient. Smiling, he texted, good girl, not nagging your husband to come home. I'll be back soon, wait for me. After texting, he beamed, buying me flowers from a roadside shop. Hannah saw the roses and reached out eagerly, my favorite roses. Felix dodged her, not for you. Gazing at the roses tenderly, he said, Sophie likes them too. I bought 99 specially for her. He awaited my reply, but I didn't respond. He settled Hannah in a new rental and kept calling, darling, why aren't you answering? The calls persisted, unanswered. Finally, it connected. Hello, who are you looking for? A stranger's voice answered. Felix's smile vanished, eyes widening. Who are you? Where's Sophie? Why do you have her phone? The voice was baffled. What Sophie? I don't know her. Wrong number, I just got this one. Stop calling, weirdo. Hearing this, Felix's heart clenched as if gripped by an invisible hand, pounding wildly. I wouldn't cancel my number without reason. He sped home, running red lights, eyes fixed ahead, pleading tearfully, Sophie, you and the baby must be safe. His face paled, sweat beaded on his forehead, lips trembling. He sensed something precious slipping away. Rushing from the car, he mashed the elevator button, ignoring Hannah's call. Relief came with the familiar welcome home chime. Hearing my voice calmed him inexplicably. "Sophie, why didn't you reply?" "I was so worried." Felix stopped short at the empty room, then noticed missing items. "Sophie." He dashed to the bedroom and kitchen, no sign of me. Panicked, he checked the rooms. My clothes and shoes were gone. Only his and Hannah's things remained, as if I'd never been there. His heart raced, muttering, "Sophie, gone?" He rushed to the study, opening the cabinet of our mementos, all empty. Movie stubs, our first photo, the album of our love story, all vanished. I'd once said I'd display these treasures at our wedding for all to witness our love. Now they were gone forever. No wedding, just discarded memories. Felix's eyes reddened, calling my Instagram repeatedly. After landing, I saw his messages. I'd only cancelled my SIM, forgetting to block him. I did so, changed my account, done with 5 years of deception. I wanted a clean break. "Sophie." A gentle voice called. I looked up, jogging over. "Brother." My cousin, seeing my weary state, said with concern, "I'll take you to the hospital. Don't be afraid, I'm here." At the hospital, I saw Mom and glared at my cousin. "You promised not to tell her yet." She strode over, raising her hand. I didn't dodge, I deserved it. 5 years ago, Mom wanted me to take over the company, but I hated it and left in a huff. Returning, I insisted on marrying Felix. After meeting Felix once, Mom opposed it. "Sophie, if you stay with him, leave the Sue family." I ignored her, following Felix without a marriage license. "From now on, I'm done with the Sue family." The expected slap didn't come. Mom hugged me, voice choked. "You're back, my poor Sophie, you've suffered." Tears burst forth. "Mom, I'm sorry. I misjudged people. I won't be stubborn anymore." She wiped my tears. "Don't cry, I've arranged the best doctor." In the operating room, I severed ties with Felix completely. This child would have had no father. Aborting was best for us both. After recovering, I no longer refused company work. 2 months after my birth, Mom discovered Dad's affair with his first love. She endured silently, hiring a detective, uncovering his long-term infidelity. Hannah was just days younger than me. With solid proof, Mom expelled this gold-digging son-in-law. She raised me alone, managing a struggling company through tough years. 3 months ago, my cousin called. "Little sis, Mom can't handle the company anymore. I know nothing about business, it's up to you." I refused again for Felix and my dreams, stubbornly. Now, I'd slap myself twice. Mom took me to the Moo family banquet to network with business figures. I greeted them alongside her. Aunt Una, Mom's best friend, was overjoyed. "My darling, Sophie's back. I've missed you so much." I hugged her, smiling. "Auntie, long time no see." "I'll visit daily, don't get tired of me." She teased. "I wish you'd stay with me every day." A boy approached. "Mom, Aunt Sue." "Sophie, long time no see." My mind blanked. It was Aunt Una's son, Martin, a year younger than me. We hadn't met in ages. 15 years ago, he went abroad for health issues. Mom said he took over the Moo family 5 years back. Now, vying for a project to prove myself, he was a competitor, but our past acquaintance helped us bond quickly. He was gentlemanly, noticing my discomfort, and led me to a quiet corner, shielding me from drafts. In business talk, he exuded excellence and ease. Like childhood, he called me sister, closing the gap swiftly. A familiar voice caught my ear. Turning, I saw Hannah, arm in arm with a middle-aged man, entering the hall. Her perfect legs stunned me. Hadn't she been unable to stand? How was she healed and here? Hannah flirted with the man, his hand roaming her waist without resistance. She showed no sign of crippled legs. This scene stirred mixed feelings. Martin followed my gaze, asking casually, "Sister, do you know them?" I looked away, shaking my head. "No." Hannah was Felix's white moonlight. I'd assumed they'd be together openly after I left. I hadn't expected her entanglement with another, but it no longer concerned me. To dodge the topic, I grabbed a glass from a waiter. Long time no see, cheers. Martin stopped me, handing me orange juice. Drink this, I remember you got drunk on wine as a kid. As kids, I dragged him to play house, mistaking wine for juice, and got drunk. I danced with him, doodled on his face, and he, younger, ed me to sleep. We were 5 or 6, I didn't think he'd remember. After the banquet, Martin added me on Instagram, smiling sweetly. Sister, let's connect on Instagram. Sure. I nearly used my work account but switched to personal, missing the fleeting joy in his eyes. I worked tirelessly and won the project. Martin, unfazed by defeat, beamed. Congrats, sister, your first victory, those old-timers should be impressed. He pulled out a ticket, eyes hopeful. I heard you like murder mystery games, a new one, your cousin's going. Want to join, sister? Recognizing my favorite writer's script, I took it, thanks. On his birthday, he invited me and my cousin skiing, my favorite activity, neglected for years because Felix disliked it. My cousin, tired, sat in the rest area when an unknown call came. Answering, he heard Felix's furious voice, "Where's Sophie? Did you force her back?" My cousin replied coldly, "Who are you to question me?" Felix urged, "I'm her husband, where is she?" Seeing me happy with Martin, he sneered at Felix, "You're unworthy, you're a stranger now," and blocked him. At home, he whispered, "That guy called me. Why is he still bothering you?" Mentioning Felix irked him. I recalled my cousin calling Felix after our split, when he'd promised to treat me well. I didn't expect him to keep the number. I shrugged, ignore him. We're done, his heart's elsewhere. I meant to clarify before leaving, but he ditched me again for another woman. I didn't want a greedy man once gone, no more entanglement. I dove into work. The Moo and Sue families won a big project. Before the celebration, Mom took me dress shopping, and we met Martin, who smiled. Sister, what a coincidence. Mom laughed, perfect, I'm off to Mahjong with friends. Martin, help Sophie pick a dress. Wind tousled my hair, Martin fixed it. Then Felix rushed out, grabbing me. Shocked, I saw he'd followed me here. I yanked free, don't touch me. Felix stared, eyes bloodshot. Sophie. Anger and sorrow laced his voice. You left without a word. Do you know how worried I was? I replied coolly, Felix, we're over. We have no connection, stop looking for me. Martin stepped in front, leave her alone. Felix's eyes teared, trembling finger pointing at Martin, you left me for him? What's so great about this pretty boy? Unwilling to argue, I pulled Martin back to the shop. Felix lunged, punching Martin, bastard. I'll kill you. Blood trickled from Martin's mouth, yet he shielded me. I slapped Felix, enough. What right do you have to judge me? He froze. I'd always been gentle, never striking him. Sophie, you hit me for a third party? We swore never to betray each other, or live in guilt forever. His indignation was laughable. Felix, between us, who betrayed first you don't know. 5 years together, who's been on your mind? You chased me because my eyes match Hannah's. She's back, why cling to a substitute like me? I glared at him, words striking hard, your fake affection disgusts me. He deflated, soulless, what substitute? His fault, yet he looked wounded. You think I see you as Hannah's stand-in? That my love for you isn't pure? Panic flashed in his eyes, he softened. Sophie, you've misunderstood. Hannah and I are innocent. You're pregnant, stop fussing and come home, okay? He coaxed, hoping I'd relent. In 5 years, I was easy to appease an apology, and I'd forgive. He mastered the slap then sweetness tactic. But that worked because I loved him, now I don't. I once thought we'd never part, petty fights didn't matter. I believed we'd walk together forever, but our paths diverged. Felix, whether you're lovers with Hannah or just kissing and hugging, it's irrelevant to me. Oh, I aborted the child while you were with her. Stop harassing me. My words struck him like lightning. He crouched, hands clutching his head, hopeless. I pulled Martin to the car and left. Reflecting, I felt foolish, manipulated by him. Mom was right, Felix's intentions weren't pure. I thought she meant he coveted our wealth, insulting him, and cut ties without hearing her out. Tears welled up, I parked to compose myself. A tissue appeared, only then did I recall Martin was there. Seeing his wounded lip, I felt guilty. Sorry, I dragged you into this and caused a misunderstanding. He showed no displeasure, joking, he's right, I'm fair-skinned and handsomer, I am a pretty boy. I burst out laughing, gloom lifting. His gaze softened, I've followed your life these years. 5 years ago, returning from abroad, I wanted to confess but was too late. It's fine, I can still protect you silently. Stunned, I learned Martin had always liked me, quietly aiding me. No wonder my troubles resolved easily. He hadn't confessed earlier, fearing a failed surgery, but by the time he recovered, I was with Felix. His eyes held only me, voice soft, I thought if he could love and protect you forever, I'd hide my feelings, calling you sister for life. But he hurt you, pushing you to me. Sophie, I don't want to be your brother, I want to be your lifelong partner. I dodged his intense gaze. You heard him, I was pregnant with his child, though I aborted it. Don't you mind? He held my hand gently. I don't, I just pity you. I couldn't protect you. I met his moist eyes, brimming with love. From that day, Martin visited often, no longer using my cousin as an excuse. I didn't mind, perhaps after a bad romance, one finds true love. He called me sister before, yet I was always the one cared for. My bond with Martin grew closer. I pushed Felix from my mind, sealing away the painful past, only to encounter him again unexpectedly. Seeing Martin, Felix clenched his fists, glaring. Martin, GM of Moo Group, you can have any woman. Why steal Sophie? I told you I'd never part with her, she's my most important person, I won't give her up. Shocked, I looked at Martin, they'd met before. Martin's eyes chilled. Sophie's a person, not your possession. And she's not the most important to you, is she? At the Moo Villa, guards tossed out a struggling figure. Seeing her face, I was stunned. It was Hannah. Her eyes darted away from Felix. As shocked as me, he stared coldly at her legs. Why are you here? Your legs are fine? Hannah threw herself at Felix. Felix, I didn't mean to deceive you. He pushed her off. She explained urgently. It was him, he said if I seduced you and split you from Sophie, he'd give me 100 million. But he lied, he never intended to pay. She accused Martin. I raised an eyebrow. Explain. He rubbed his nose. Earnest, Sophie, I feared he'd betray you. I investigated and found he always loved Hannah, using you as a substitute. How could I let you be fooled? I used some tactics. Raising his hand, eyes teary, Martin said, I didn't mean to trick you, I brought you here to clarify. If you're mad, hit me, I won't resist or retort. I laughed. I'm not mad. The fault was Felix's. From the moment he pursued me, his intentions were impure, his heart with Hannah. Knowing I despised the mistress who hurt Mom, he still brought her daughter home. I'd never forgive him, no matter what. Felix broke down, lunging at Martin. Bastard. This time, Martin didn't hold back, dodging and kicking him down. Guards pinned Felix as he shouted, disheveled, Sophie, he's no good scheming. Without him, we wouldn't have split, he provoked us. How can you forgive him? Don't be with him, come with me, please. I looked down, voice icy, throw him out. Hannah, teary, pleaded, please help me, give me money to pay my debts, okay? I raised an eyebrow. Why should I? Martin and I turned toward the villa. Hannah erupted like a firecracker, shrieking, Sophie, what's there to be proud of? Your mom was incompetent, mine stole her man, you won't end well either. Her eyes brimmed with venom, face twisted in rage. I clenched my fists, wanting to tear her apart. I hadn't blamed her for her mom, yet she was shameless. As I raised my hand to slap her, Martin signaled the guards to hit her hard, holding my hand, don't soil yours. After Felix was tossed out, he somehow got my new number, calling incessantly. I reported him for harassment, landing him in detention. A month later, Martin proposed. Knowing I preferred low-key, he didn't do it publicly but with heartfelt effort, crafting a flower and a floral dress for me. He made a ring, engraved with my initials, leaving clues for me to find the proposal site. We danced in the flower sea. I hugged him, smiling. "Thank you, Martin." He knew I loved flowers and puzzles. Shockingly, the Moo family heir offered to marry into mine. His devotion solidified my resolve. We wed soon, honeymooning with travel. He didn't object, taking me everywhere. 6 months later, I heard of Felix. 3 months prior, he'd died, burned with Hannah. She'd racked up massive gambling debts in Macau. With no one to turn to, she sought Felix for money, only to be beaten. Hating him, she set a fire at night. I felt no stir, only that Hannah was ruthless. On my phone, I checked Felix's Facebook, finding an apology letter to me. He cared for Hannah, believing she'd saved him, but someone else had. Hannah stole the credit. He felt foolish, tricked by Hannah, sorry to me and our unborn child. The post lost him fans, who berated him, but it didn't matter to me. I logged off calmly. Martin emerged from the bathroom in a towel, water tracing his muscles. He scooped me up, deep eyes drawing me in. "Wife, time for bed."